Hey, yo, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is yours truly, Rahshawn, aka Mr. Greenhart. Welcome back to another edition of The And Green Show. Of course, as your host, Mr. Greenhart, I'm here to give you the greatest takes when it comes to sports, food, music, and it's been a little bit of a while. We're definitely trying to revamp and retool the podcast, but we're still here to give you some great takes. Still here to give you some really good information when it comes to the world of food, sports, and music. Just like to thank everybody for continuing to supporting the channel. As I said, the podcast is in a bit of a transitioning stage. But we're still here to give you some great information, some great episodes, and we are open to doing some collaborations throughout this year with people in different industries. So I'm going to get into that in a little bit. But of course, if you guys haven't done so already, please make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel. It goes a long way. Okay, so without further ado, as you guys know, we love to cover sports. We're also going to be talking about a little bit of food and music today. But we have some really cool sports hot takes to give people. And when I say hot takes, I mean some of the things that are happening in and around the leagues. We're going to cover a few of those sports areas, and then we're going to get into the food and music segment towards the end. Hoping you guys are going to be excited and interested to hear more about what's to come with that stuff. So, without further ado, let's jump into it. So the sports world is it's a really good time right now for sports overall. I know that not every single sport is going, but a lot of the popular ones are. To quickly touch on maybe the NFL, I know we don't really go into that as much in depth, but to touch on that to get started, NFL draft is coming up. I know that this year is a really big year for quarterbacks, and three quarterbacks in particular: Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, JJ McCarthy, um, Drake May, I should say as well. I feel like this year is going to be another defining year for some rookie quarterbacks. Again, with some of the draft picks coming up for Chicago, Washington Commanders, Patriots, they might be in need of getting some really good quarterbacks, young quarterbacks. So this is the year, I think, to make sure you secure that for the future. um the quarterback position is always competitive, and I think that as time goes on, we are going to continue to see quarterbacks develop into just being more well-rounded players. But the bar is being set high. Of course, yes, let's give congratulations to Kansas City. They were able to do what most people didn't think they were going to do this year, which was come out and win a Super Bowl. I had them written off. You could ask me that. As a Baltimore Ravens fan, I felt like this was the year, but still a few things that we need to get retooled and fixed up. Shout outs to any Kansas City fans. We're not going to get too much into this, but again, quarterback position, the bar is being raised. I'm interested to see what Caleb Williams is gonna do. He looks like a very promising quarterback. But in the college scene, everybody's a superstar. When it comes to the league, you gotta show it and you gotta bring your A game. So, rookies take some time to develop, but you could tell right away the potential and how special a player is. So really excited to see what happens with the NFL draft. Jumping over to the NBA. Want to quickly touch on the all NBA teams, mainly the first team. And I also want to talk about some predictions for the playoffs, as well as who I think is this year's MVP. All NBA team, let's jump into it. This year, I think a lot of it has been some of what we were going to expect. Some of the top teams like Boston, as well, Denver as current champions. We kind of expected that they would be in the positions that they would be, and some of the players, the leading players on that team, would stand out. So for my All NBA team, I think this year in particular, it's one of the most, in my opinion, unanimous decisions. I would be really hard pressed and surprised to see any of these guys not make it to the All NBA team. So who I have for my two guards, I'm going with Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and Luka Doncic. MVP seasons, to say the least. Luka is helping carry the Mavs in a very crowded Western Conference, as well as Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. I really like what Oklahoma is doing overall. I like the pickups that the Mavs got as well, but those two guys are really helping lead their teams in the West, busy Western Conference. In the East, I have Giannis and Tatum. Goes without being said, Tatum should be up there no matter what. Best team in the Eastern Conference, in my opinion, best player on that team. So you got to put him in on the All NBA first team. Giannis is the freak for a reason. He, regardless of the roster, they did have a bit of a coaching change from Adrian Griffin to Doc Rivers. A lot of people are saying Doc Rivers is not going to save the Bucks, but if you have Giannis, you have a fighting chance. So I'm gonna put Giannis in there for the fourth guy, and then last but not least, if I'm gonna preface this, if one player didn't get hurt the way he did, I probably would have had him in here for the All NBA based on his trajectory and the numbers he's been putting up. But because he has been hurt, I'm going to go ahead with the pick that I'm sure a lot of people would have had, which is Nikola Jokic. He is walking double-double, triple-double, whatever you want to call him. Such a interesting player, very hard to defend, very unique in his abilities, helping Denver to stay up top the West. We're gonna see if it's enough to help them to repeat, but he's proven himself on many levels, broken a lot of records, great for him. But I'm gonna throw him in there for All NBA. It's kind of hard to leave him out. Um, Honorable mention was the gentleman that I was going to put in, which is Joel Embiid. He was injured for a good part of the season. He is back now. But when you have too many games missed, especially with the new rule that you have to have at least 65 games played to even be considered for like MVP considerations, if you have missed games, nothing against that. Everybody gets hurt. It's part of the game. However, to make it to those all NBA teams, you have to have the track record, you have to have the current stats, and you can't have missed too many games. Um, Jumping into really quick, who I believe is going to be the MVP. Now, I think a lot of people would say best player on the best team deserves an MVP. I think Jason Tatum and the Boston Celtics are match made in heaven. He fits perfectly into the system, but I don't think he's the MVP. And I also don't think it's Jokic as the MVP. As important as he is, I think both Denver and Boston are constructed in a way where those teams could still do fairly well. Maybe not as good as they're doing, but they could still do fairly well. So their importance is there, but for me this year, I have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander as the league MVP. Quite frankly, Oklahoma, he's made Oklahoma City Thunder relevant again. This is long beyond the days of Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, PG, Carmelo. He's brought in the team back. He's helped a young team get that experience that they need in the season to beat some of the bigger teams, Lakers included, Denver included. And he's also been able to put up MVP type numbers with his supporting cast. I don't I don't see that team doing as well as they are if he doesn't perform the way he does. And I also don't think they have a fighting chance if he doesn't perform the way he does in the playoffs. So I have Shai Gilgeous as MVP. Of course, everybody, I'd love to hear your feedback. So please let me know in the comments if you think Shai should have been the MVP should be the MVP this year, or would you give it to somebody else? Last but not least is the predictions. So I have one for the East, one for the West. I know a lot of people want to go with some of the favorite picks, but my picks are a little different, and I'll explain. So for the East, now I know that this team suffered a significant injury, and a lot of people would count them out. Now, for a lot of people that don't know, I am a diehard New York Knicks fan, and I've been for as long as I could remember. This started in the Jordan era. Of course, Jordan being one of my all-time favorites. I really, developed a likeness for the Knicks, and they've just been my team since. There's been a lot of rough years with the Knicks, but we are coming to the promised land sooner than later. So I have the Knicks this year as a sleeper dark horse. Don't know what to expect, but if they outperform their expectations like they have in a few previous years, I like the Knicks' chances of going far. Now, of course, they're going to have to run into Boston. We'll see how the series plays out if it comes to that. I like Philly as well. I think they're another good dark horse when they're fully healthy. Bucks are a little bit shaky when it comes to the defensive end, and everybody knows what to expect from the Celtics. So I got the Knicks coming out of the East. Yes, please let me know if you agree, if you think this is crazy, or whatever your comments are. In the West, I have another one of the dark horses, and this comes with one of the players I mentioned from the All NBA team, and that is the Dallas Mavericks. I liked how the Mavericks retooled. They got Gafford, PJ Washington, Kyrie, and Luka are playing dynamic together, and they have a good supporting cast. I like the matchups that they have in the West. I like how Luka and Kyrie could both close out games if they need to. So it's going to be really interesting to see how teams play against them. They have some size, they have a bit of shooting. Um, I'm going with some dark horse teams this year. It's easy to count in the Nuggets, it's easy to count in the Thunder, Minnesota, which is having a great year. A lot of people that are talking about the Warriors and the Lakers, if they get into the play-in, as long as they get in, they're gonna do all right. They'll make it. You know what? That recipe is not always gonna work. Yes, LeBron James and Steph Curry are Hall of Fame all-time greats. They are in their later years of their career. You don't want to be pushing these guys to 6, 7 game series because yes, they could take you to the limit and potentially beat you. But I think overall, against the youth this year and just where they're sitting right now, I don't like their chances. I think if they get in, they always have a fighting chance. But I got the Mavs coming out of the West this year. So those are my All NBA MVP and predictions for the playoffs. Now, switching over really quick to the NHL. I know we don't talk about it much, but I do want to give some really quick predictions as the playoffs is coming around the corner in April for the NHL as well. I've been looking at a few teams in the East. Of course, your Boston. Everybody's hyped on your Toronto Maple Leafs. Bruins are up there. Florida Panthers. I really think this year could be New York's year. And I think New York Rangers have proven all season that they're one of the more dominant teams. They have the depth. If they get the matchups that they like coming into the playoffs, they can go a lot further than people expect. But you never know what to expect when it comes in the playoffs. So for me, I have a complete New York prediction this year because of how these teams have been performing. And I like their chances when it comes to the playoffs because you kind of can't know what to expect every year. Sometimes things just play out the way they do. And so I have the New York Rangers coming out of the East. Now, coming out of the West, Vancouver's been playing really well this year. Golden Knights aren't exactly where they need to be, but of course, they're always dangerous. And then you have your Winnipeg Jets, your Colorado Avalanche. But for me this year, I think that they have all the pieces that they need, hopefully. If not, it's going to be really hard for them to continue to build around the core pieces that they have. But I have the Edmonton Oilers. Yes, you heard it. Connor McDavid, it is his time to get that cup. It's his time to break the drought that he's been in. Leon Draisaitl's playing at an all-time level as he has been. I think those two guys, yes, they have had a bit of trouble, and I forgot to mention the Dallas Stars are up there as a very good competitor. Yes, the Oilers have had some troubles this season with some of the top teams. But I think the way the team is constructed going into the postseason, they have enough depth. I'm a little concerned about their goaltending. Still a bit young, but I think that overall, if they could weather the storm, if McDavid and Draisaitl could continue playing the way they're playing, and then they have some step up guys like your Hymans coming in to contribute, your Nugent Hopkins. If you get one of those two guys that just play above their potential, it's going to make it really hard for teams in the Western Conference to be able to, beat them in a 7 game series. Of course, yes, Dallas is there. Of course, you have, like I said, the Colorado Avalanche, and Vancouver, which is, I think a really interesting pick this year. I have the Oilers going out of the West. Let me know what you think. It's going to be an interesting playoffs both for NBA and NHL, so I'm looking forward to see what comes out of that. Really quick, I want to touch on the boxing and UFC scene. We have some big fights coming up with Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney. I got Haney. Garcia, great fighter, nothing against him, but after that Tank Davis fight, maybe a little bit of an ego hit. I think he's still really good. It's just Devin Haney might have got the mental battle, and I'm not sure. I know Ryan Garcia has been going through some stuff lately. Hopefully, he's locked in and ready to fight. But that's going to be an interesting boxing match. UFC, one of the big ones coming up is Jamal Hill, Alex Pereira. Pereira is a star, and he's a star right now, not a star in the making. He's a star right now. To be able to fight against Jamal Hill is a beast. So it's going to be really interesting to see who wins the striking game, whose style of fighting kind of supersedes the other. But I might go with Pereira on this one. I like Pereira's stand-up game. Shout out to Jamal Hill again. He's a beast, but I think Pereira's on his way up. I think Pereira's going to have a few more big fights in him, and this could be one of them. So I got Alex Pereira taking that. And then one of our interesting matches, which is not an official match, it's more of an exhibition, is the Mike Tyson fight against Jake Paul. Say what you want about Jake Paul. He's got some boxing matches under his belt. He's competing. He has training at a high level. But we're fighting against Mike Tyson at plus 60 years old or 50 years old. I'd have to double check to see how old he is again. I don't, as much as people like to see Tyson, come back in the ring, I don't really like the fight as much as people are saying. I do like the fact that Tyson is willing to take on this fight and kind of be a bit vulnerable. But it's Mike Tyson we're talking about here. So he's not going to back down from Jake Paul. But me personally, I haven't looked into the contract rules, but I'm going to just take Mike Tyson. Jake Paul, you're great. Your training's good. I don't know if you're really a serious boxer or you want to take it as a serious, people think that you're taking it. I'm going to just go with Tyson for now based on experience, based on the fact that it's Mike Tyson. Now, I really want to get people's take. What do you guys think? Do you think a younger, up and coming, more hungry fighter, huge age difference, so he has the youth on his side versus somebody like Mike Tyson, who's been around the block, who has probably been, if not one of the greatest boxers of all time, most intimidating boxers of all time? I think it's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out. So let me know what you guys think. Would love to get your feedback to see for that fight if you think it's going to be youth is on the side of Jake, he's going to take it, or is it going to go down to experience and a beast in Mike Tyson? So last thing is, oh, of course, thank you, of course, everyone, to staying tuned and getting some of these takes that I'm giving for sports. Would love to get your feedback and know what you guys think. So please make sure to include that in the comments. So before we conclude today's episode, I wanted to quickly touch on the food and music space. Now, I know that this season we wanted to start to introduce that. So for people who are in the food space, who have restaurants, who have a passion for cooking, as well as for musicians, artists, producers, DJs, wanted to let you guys know that we at the Ag Green Show are here to work with you. But of course, I wanted to include sports professionals and as well as business professionals. The Ag Green Show is open to collaborate with people who want to share their story, who want to connect with other like-minded individuals and passionate enthusiasts, to not only connect with them to help them out, but to also have insightful conversations and to be able to offer them something more than just a product or a service, but mainly to be a part of a community, which is a part of a big part of whatever that person is doing. So for people who are in the food space, people who are musicians, people who are entrepreneurs, business owners in any capacity, and people who are sports fanatics, the Ant Green Show would love to see you guys, would love to have you guys on and to collaborate. Please make sure to follow the Ant Green Show, and you could reach out to us there. We'd love to do an interview. We'd love to have some time to chat, and would love to also promote whatever current projects you're working on so that people know what you're doing, and then we can get more people involved to help out and as well as to just be a part of your journey. Um, Ladies and gentlemen, it is coming to the end of our episode. Just want to give a quick recap again. We were able to go through sports and give some great hot takes when it came to NHL, NFL, NBA, boxing, UFC. Please make sure to stay tuned for our Paris 2024 coverage this summer for the Olympics. It's going to be really exciting to see how countries perform. And we were also able to talk about some of our new collaboration outreach opportunities for people who are in the food, music, sports, and business overall, for themselves to be able to share their story and connect with other like-minded individuals. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. It's always been a pleasure to host this show for you. If you haven't done so already, again, it is much appreciated. Please like and comment and subscribe to this channel. We're going to be back with some more great episodes. We're looking forward to collaborating with people out there. So please make sure to follow the Ant Green Show on all social media platforms to keep up with everything that we do. Until next time, peace and love, everybody. Take care.